Why this small-town Walmart has more missing persons than anywhere else. Subscribe, like, comment if you think you're brave enough to shop alone after hearing this story. No one in Ridgewood, Arkansas, could explain why their small-town Walmart had become the epicenter of something dark. Something that didn't fit the quiet, dusty streets, the friendly neighbors, or the Friday night football games. Ridgewood was the kind of place where people knew your grandparents, your dog, and the brand of chips you liked. Trouble didn't live here. But 6 disappearances in 3 months changed everything. It started on a hot June night, the kind of night when thunderheads sat heavy over the highway, promising rain but delivering only humidity. Officer Daniel Mercer stood beside a small gray sedan in the Walmart parking lot, staring at the abandoned car as its windows reflected the glowing blue Walmart sign above. Inside the car, a tote bag, a receipt, and a half-full bottle of water. No driver, no sign of struggle, no explanation. 19-year-old Abby Harlow had walked into the store an hour earlier. Security footage showed her shopping normally, earbuds in, casual, unaware of anything wrong. She paid at self-checkout. She exited the store. But she never reached her car. Mercer shut his eyes and took a slow breath. 6 people, he muttered. 6 people don't just disappear out of Ridgewood. Detective Eva Ramsey approached from behind him, her footsteps soft against the wet pavement. She wore her usual expression, focused, sharp, and unreadable. Rain clouds gathered over her shoulder, darkening the sky. "Coroner is on standby," she said. "Search teams are covering the perimeter, but there's something you need to see." Mercer followed her toward the entrance as rain finally began to fall, slow at first, then steady enough to push the night's humidity aside. They said under the sliding doors, where the greeter gave them a frightened nod. Everyone in Ridgewood had heard the rumors by now. They whispered them in barber shops and gas stations. "Don't go to Walmart alone. Did you hear about the college kid? Something's wrong in that parking lot." Inside the store, fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The aisles looked ordinary, undisturbed, like nothing had ever happened here. But Ramsey didn't slow until they reached the back hallway, where the security office sat tucked between storage shelves. Inside, the security feed played on a wall of monitors, each displaying a different angle of the store. The night shift clerk rewound a specific camera, his fingers trembling slightly over the keyboard. "There," Ramsey said. On screen, Abby walked calmly toward the exit. The timestamp read 10:29 p.m., plastic bag in hand, phone in the other. She stepped through the doors. The camera switched to the outdoor angle, but she didn't appear. Mercer frowned. "Rewind." The clerk did. Abby left the store. She should have entered the frame of the next camera immediately. Everyone did. But the feed remained empty, as if she had stepped into another dimension. Except Mercer knew better. "Blind spot," he said quietly. Ramsey nodded. "Same one the other 5 disappearances passed through." Mercer clenched his jaw. "No camera covers that spot. Why?" "Old building, bad upgrade," Ramsey said. "But that's not all." She motioned to another monitor. The clerk played a different recording, one from an hour before Abby arrived. A man in a hoodie walked across the parking lot, not unusual for late-night shoppers. But Mercer watched closely as the man stopped near the blind spot, hands in pockets, standing perfectly still. He wasn't shopping. He wasn't waiting. He was observing. The man shifted only twice. Once to glance at the entrance. Once to look up at the security camera, as if making sure it couldn't see him. At 10:28 p.m., he moved behind the concrete pillar directly beside the blind spot. 30 seconds later, Abby walked into that same area. The man never reappeared. Mercer felt a cold ripple crawl down his spine. He knew her timing. Or he didn't care who it was, Ramsey said, crossing her arms. He could have been waiting for anyone who walked alone. A silent moment passed between them. Then the radio clipped to Ramsey's belt crackled. "Detective Ramsey, we located something behind the building. You need to come now." Ramsey and Mercer hurried to the loading dock. Rain dripped from the overhang, pooling on the concrete. Officers circled a small object near the dumpsters, their flashlights forming a glowing cluster around it. A phone. Mercer's chest tightened. "Is it hers?" The officer nodded. "Lock screen matches Abby's. It's been recording." "Recording." Ramsey's eyes sharpened. "Play it." A tech connected the phone to an audio device. Static. Rain. Then, footsteps. Slow. Soft. Deliberate. Someone breathing. Mercer stiffened. Then 2 words whispered in a male voice. "Not tonight." The recording ended. Ramsey straightened slowly. He was here while officers were already in the lot. "He's watching us," Mercer said. "He's ahead of us," Ramsey corrected. Another officer sprinted toward them, waving. "Detectives, we found more, at the loading dock door." Everyone followed. On the metal door, pinned by a silver tack, was a folded piece of paper. Rain had soaked the edges but not the center. A crime tech carefully peeled it off and opened it. 4 words in black ink. "You're too late again." Mercer stared, throat tight. "He's taunting us." "He's escalating," Ramsey said. "And he wants a chase." Mercer stepped back, trying to catch his breath through the rising storm. 6 disappearances, a hidden blind spot, a man who knew the layout better than the staff, and now this, a direct message. The air felt heavier, as if Ridgewood at sea, Elif was holding its breath. Then Ramsey's radio crackled again, more urgent this time. "Detective, custodian found something by the dumpster. Looks like a schedule. Maybe from the suspect." Mercer and Ramsey rushed over as an officer held out a damp folded page beneath an evidence sheet. It wasn't a random schedule. It was a printed Walmart shift schedule, times and employee breaks circled. And in the center, drawn in perfect red ink, a map of the blind spot. Ramsey's face went pale. He planned every disappearance with this. Mercer examined the lines, routes, arrows, timings. It was a blueprint, a trap. Then he flipped the paper over. Scrawled on the back, "Tomorrow, 10:32 p.m. Bring help, or don't." Ramsey stared at Mercer. "This isn't random," she said quietly. "This is someone who knows us, someone who's been inside this store, maybe for years." Mercer looked toward the flickering lights of the parking lot, rain splashing across his boots. "Whoever he is," Mercer said, "he's not done." Ramsey nodded grimly. "And tomorrow," she said, "he wants us here." Rain continued to fall over the Ridgewood Walmart parking lot, soft but steady, as if the sky itself refused to let the night end cleanly. Detective Eva Ramsey stood beneath the overhang with her arms crossed, staring down at the red ink map of the blind spot while officers worked around her. Every passing minute seemed to thicken the air, adding weight to a mystery that was becoming less random and more deliberate with each clue. Officer Daniel Mercer paced near the loading bay, struggling to keep his thoughts from spiraling. The message on the back of the schedule echoed in his head. "Tomorrow, 10:32 p.m. Bring help, or don't. A challenge, a warning, a countdown." Someone was controlling the narrative, pushing the police around like pieces on a board. Ramsey finally folded the evidence bag and slipped it into her folder. "Get some rest," she told Mercer. "We're back here first thing in the morning. We can't afford to miss anything." Mercer nodded, but neither of them believed sleep would come easily. Morning arrived heavy and gray. Ridgewood's sky looked bruised, and the town seemed quieter than usual. Like everyone sensed something was wrong but didn't know why. News vans were already circling despite the department's attempts to control information. Rumors were spreading, whispers turning into theories, theories into panic. The Ridgewood Sheriff's Department held an emergency briefing at 9 a.m. Officers crowded into the conference room. Tired faces, notebooks ready, coffee steaming. The chief stood at the front, but it was Ramsey who took the lead. She clicked a remote, and a projector screen lit up with the Walmart map. "This isn't a coincidence," she began. 6 missing people, all captured last on Walmart cameras, all lost inside the same blind spot. Mercer sat beside her, flipping through his notes. "The suspect," Ramsey continued, "knows this builds. Ding, the schedules, the shift patterns. He knows when employees take breaks, and he knows exactly how long someone is out of sight when they walk through that blind area." A hand raised. "You're saying he's inside the store? Like an employee?" Ramsey shook her head. "We don't know, but he has knowledge only a regular observer or someone with access would have." Another officer asked, "What about the message on the schedule?" Ramsey changed the slide. The handwritten words appeared on screen. "Tomorrow, 10:32 p.m. The room fell silent. Mercer leaned forward. "We treat it as both a threat and an opportunity." "How?" someone asked. "He wants us there," Mercer said, "which means whatever he's planning happens at that time. If we prepare properly, we may be able to corner him." Ramsey added, "We'll need plainclothes officers, a perimeter team, and full surveillance coverage. Every camera will be monitored in real time." Someone else asked, "And the victim? Who is he targeting next?" Ramsey didn't answer immediately. Instead, she switched to another slide. Photos of the 6 missing lined the screen. Michael Trent, Evelyn Parker, Carl Dixon, Lisa Ronson, found alive but traumatized, David Castillo, and now Abby Harlow, each completely different. Different ages, different backgrounds, different patterns. Ramsey finally spoke. "He's not targeting a type, he's targeting opportunity." Mercer added quietly, "Anyone who walks alone." A murmur rippled through the room. Ramsey continued, "We don't know if he's working alone or with others, but this countdown means he's moving fast." The chief stepped forward. "Everyone is on high alert. This is now a multi-agency investigation." By late afternoon, Ridgewood felt tense in a way small towns rarely do. Parents called their kids home early. Store aisles were quiet. Doors locked earlier than usual. The Walmart M. Aniger stood at the entrance, trying to reassure customers with a forced smile that collapsed every time someone looked away. Inside the store, Ramsey and Mercer walked toward the blind spot, the exact area where the suspect had taken each victim without a single camera catching their face. The space didn't look sinister. It was just a stretch of wall between the garden center doors and a pillar supporting the awning. The kind of place people passed through without noticing. But now, even in broad daylight, it felt wrong. Ramsey crouched, running her flashlight across the concrete. "Footprints from last night got washed out," she said. "But look here." She pointed at a faint smear along the bottom of the pillar. It wasn't blood, nothing harmful, just a streak of dirt that didn't match the rain patterns. "Someone leaned here recently," she said. "Tall person, left shoulder height." Mercer took notes. "So he stands here, waits, steps out, then disappears back behind the dock or into the side exit." Ramsey nodded. "He moves like someone who knows every inch of this structure." Mercer looked toward the service hallway. "If he worked here at some point, he'd know store lockdown patterns, maintenance rooms, schedules. And if he didn't," Ramsey added, "then he's been studying the staff for months." She stood and scanned the parking lot. "He wants us here tonight, but he won't make this easy." The hours crawled toward evening, each minute sharper than the last. Officers took positions in unmarked vehicles around the lot. 2 plainclothes officers wandered the store pretending to shop. Ramsey and Mercer set up their command center inside the security office. At 9:50 p.m., the sky had gone fully dark. At 10:10 p.m., The first distant thunder rolled through. At 10:20 p.m., a soft drizzle began. At 10:30 p.m., every officer in the area tensed. Ramsey leaned into the microphone connected to the comm system. "All units, eyes open. We're at 2 minutes." Quiet voices acknowledged. 10:31 p.m. The second hand moved slowly across the digital clock mounted to the wall. Mercer felt his pulse sync with the ticking. 10:32 p.m. Nothing happened. Mercer exhaled. False lead? Ramsey didn't move. Wait. Then, a beep. A small light on the console blinked red. One of the exterior cameras had gone offline. Camera 6 just rebooted. The clerk said. No reason. It just restarted. Camera 6 faced the blind spot. The blind spot went dark. Ramsey's voice was low. He's here. Mercer grabbed the radio. All units converge on the blind spot now. Officers moved fast. 2 cruisers angled toward the side of the building. Footsteps thundered as boots splashed through shallow puddles. Mercer and Ramsey ran out the employee entrance. Rain hit their jackets fast, but neither slowed. The blind spot came into view. Nothing. No movement. No shadow. No suspect. No victim. But then Mercer's flashlight beam caught something small on the ground. A wallet. Ramsey picked it up, flipping it open with gloved hands. License. Photo. A woman in her late 20s. Janet Price. Overnight stalker. The same employee who hadn't clocked out. The one who disappeared hours ago. Ramsey's face hardened. He's already taken her. A thunderclap exploded overhead. Mercer whispered. He didn't want us to stop him tonight. He wanted us to watch what he already did. Then another sound echoed through the parking lot. A metallic clink, like something hitting the pavement. They turned sharply. Near the cart return, a small metal object rolled slowly to a stop. An officer picked it up. A key, with a tag attached. Ramsey read it aloud. You're getting warmer. Mercer stared into the rain-soaked darkness around them. The suspect wasn't just ahead of them. He was close. Closer than any of them realized. Rain hammered the parking lot in restless waves as officers searched the area, flashlights slicing through the darkness like blades. Detective Eva Ramsey held the small key and its handwritten tag tightly between her fingers. The words on the tag were simple, taunting, unmistakable. You're getting warmer. Officer Daniel Mercer scanned the perimeter, heart pounding harder than it had in years. Ridgewood wasn't supposed to be this kind of town. Missing persons, stalking, a criminal playing with them like pieces on a chessboard. It didn't make sense, but the key in Ramsey's hand told him one thing clearly. The suspect was close, closer than they had ever imagined. Ramsey handed the key to a crime tech. Run the tag for prints. Cross-check the serial number. I want to know what lock it belongs to. A voice crackled through Mercer's radio before the tech could answer. Detectives, we found something near the employee storage area. You need to come inside. Ramsey nodded at Mercer. Let's move. They followed the officer across the lot, through the sliding doors, and into the back hallway where boxes lined the walls. The fluorescent lights flickered slightly from the storm outside. The air smelled like cardboard, bleach, and something else. Something sharp, metallic, unfamiliar. 3 officers stood near the employee lockers. One pointed at a metal door slightly ajar at the end of the hallway. The utility room, he said. This door is always locked, but it was open when we got here. Ramsey nodded. Let's see what's inside. They approached the door. Mercer pushed it open fully. The room beyond was filled with cleaning supplies, spare cartwheels, extra signage, and maintenance tools. Nothing unusual at first glance, just cluttered shelves and equipment stacked too tightly. But then Ramsey noticed something on the floor. A wet footprint. It wasn't Muddy or Dan, Jerus, just rainwater. Clear, fresh, shaped perfectly by the tread of a heavy boot. Mercer crouched. This was made in the last few minutes. Ramsey straightened. He's in the building. She didn't raise her voice, but every officer in the hallway felt the weight of her words. Immediately, 2 officers secured the exits. Another positioned himself near the stairwell that led to the break room and employee lounge. Ramsey moved deeper into the utility room, scanning the shelves. Then she froze. "Mercer," she said quietly. He stepped beside her, following her gaze. Behind a large stack of maintenance boxes, shoved almost completely out of sight, was a small folded sheet of paper, weighed down by a mop handle. Ramsey lifted the paper. 3 words. "Check the lockers." Mercer's pulse spiked. "He's guiding us. He wants this path followed." Ramsey's voice lowered. "Or he's forcing our attention away from something else." Still, they checked. The officers opened each locker one by one. Most were empty. A few held jackets, backpacks, lunch bags. All normal. All unchanged. Until locker 19. The moment the door unlatched, a faint piece of paper fluttered forward. Mercer caught it. A printed name badge slid out with it. Janet Price. Overnight stalker. Mercer's stomach tightened. Another clue. Another reminder. "He took her," Ramsey murmured. "Hours before we even realized." But the locker wasn't empty. A small black device lay at the bottom. A wireless camera, its red light blinking faintly. Mercer felt the breath leave his lungs. "He's been watching the lockers." "Not the lockers," Ramsey corrected. "Us." She crouched closer. "He planted this after he took Janet. He wanted to record our reaction." Mercer stood slowly. "He's tracking our response patterns, our timing, our movement." Ramsey nodded. "He's studying us just as carefully as he studied his victims." Suddenly shouting erupted from down the hall. "Detectives, back of the stockroom, now!" Mercer and Ramsey ran. Officers parted for them as they entered the stockroom. The maze-like area filled with stacks of pallets and crates rising nearly to the ceiling. Flashlights swept across the rows, revealing narrow corridors between towering supplies. A young officer pointed to a tightly stacked pallet tower. "Someone was up there," he said. "We found this." He held out a piece of fabric. A small scrap from a Walmart vest. The stitching matched Janet Price's uniform. Mercer felt a twist in his chest. "He brought her through here." Footsteps echoed above them. Not from officers, from the rafters. Every flashlight snapped upward. A metal ventilation duct rattled overhead, then went still. Mercer stepped back. "He's above us." Ramsey's eyes flicked across the ceiling layout. "There's a crawl space above the stockroom. It connects to the old pharmacy area. And to the garden center roof," Mercer added. Ramsey keyed her radio. "All units. Suspect may be using overhead crawl spaces. Secure all exit points, roof access, and outside ladders." The reply was instant. "Copy." Another bang echoed overhead. Louder this time. Closer. Officers raised their lights again. "Move!" Ramsey ordered. They ran toward the old pharmacy. The hallway lights flickered from the storm outside. Water dripped through a ceiling tile near the break room, splattering quietly on the floor. Then they reached the old pharmacy door. The lock was broken. Mercer pushed it open. Inside, the room was dark except for the emergency light glowing faintly in the corner. Dust coated the countertops. The shelves were mostly empty, except for one thing. A cell phone, placed perfectly in the center of the floor. The screen glowed, a video waiting to play. Ramsey approached cautiously. "Mercer?" He nodded. "We have to watch it." Ramsey hit play. The video shook with movement. Shot in darkness, the camera picking up only faint shapes. Then a soft, shaky breath came through. A woman's voice, quiet and unsteady. "Please, someone help." Ramsey stiffened. "Janet." The video jumped. A shadow moved across the frame. No face, no expression, just movement. Then a man's voice spoke. Calm, low, disturbingly controlled. "They can't find you if they keep looking in the wrong place." Janet whimpered. "Please." The video ended abruptly. Mercer clenched his fists. He recorded her. Here, tonight. Ramsey's jaw tightened. "He's toying with us, but recordings give us one thing he can't control. Location clues," Mercer finished. The officers swept the pharmacy while techs analyzed the audio. Within minutes, a tech ran forward. "Detectives, the ventilation sound in the background isn't from the stockroom ducts." Mercer and Ramsey exchanged a sharp look. "Then where?" The tech pointed at the audiograph. "This reverberation only matches one part of the building, the underground maintenance corridor." Ramsey froze. "You mean the old service tunnels?" Mercer's pulse spiked. "Those were sealed years ago." "Not all of them," the tech said. "And definitely not the ones used for deliveries before Walmart expanded." Ramsey didn't hesitate. "Show us the access point." They were led to a small locked hatch behind the gardening section. Dust covered the handle. A rusted padlock hung loosely on the latch, broken recently. Ramsey stared. "He's been using this." Mercer pulled the door open. Cold air washed over them. A narrow staircase led downward into darkness. Officers raised their flashlights. And at the bottom of the stairs, illuminated by a faint bulb hanging from an old wire, was something none of them expected. A hallway. Narrow, long, stretching into the darkness beneath the Walmart. And on the far wall, a line of Polaroid photos taped in, neatly side by side. 6 missing persons, and a 7th space between them, empty, with a piece of tape below it labeled, "The next one." Ramsey turned to Mercer slowly. "He's been planning this for years." Mercer swallowed hard. "Where is Janet?" Before she could answer, a faint voice echoed through the tunnel. A cry for help. Alive. Janet. Officers charged down the corridor, their footsteps pounding in unison. The echoes bounced off the walls like a warning stored in the concrete itself. Then, a door slammed somewhere deeper inside. Mercer and Ramsey ran faster, but as they reached a sharp turn in the hallway, they found another note on the floor. Freshly dropped, ink not yet dry. Mercer picked it up. One sentence. "You're still too late." Ramsey looked down the pitch-black hall ahead of them. "He's close," she whispered. Mercer nodded. "And he's not done."